Okay, so we're working on lesson or practice number 58. I think we will do whatever we can in here. Okay, so in letter A, again, just like what I mentioned to you before, check first what is the problem asking you. So this is a division sign, I mean division operation. And then the first number is just 12x. It doesn't really look like a fraction, but the second one, this one right here, is a fraction. This one is not. So whenever you have to deal with dividing fractions and the other one is not a fraction, just make them both fractions. Okay. So so that means with the 12x, you can make that one not a fraction. I mean, you can make it as a fraction by putting 1 in front of under it. So I'm going to rewrite that as 12x divided over 1. So that would be like 12x divided by 6x over x minus 2. Since this is division, then we need to do the keep it, change it, flip it. So I'm going to keep the 12x over 1, okay, and I'm gonna make it multiplication and then flip the second the divisor, which is x minus 2 over 6x. Once you get to this point, then you have two numerators, two denominators. You need to factor them both or all out. Okay, so 12x, okay, so this is gonna be like this. 12x is 2 times 2 times 3 times x over 1. X plus minus 2, that is a binomial. So you need to find for common fraction, common factor, x and negative 2. There's no common factor, so you just copy it as is. But because it's a binomial, you need to enclose that in parentheses. So you count it as 1. 6x is 2 times 3 times x. So now we're ready to cancel things out. So from left to right, this 2 gets canceled out with that 2, no more other 2, but this 3 gets canceled out with this 3, that x gets canceled out with that x. Okay, so after this, we multiply everything that's left. So what's left in the numerator? You have 2 times x minus 2. Okay, so this one right here and that one right there over 1 times, there's nothing here, so that's 1 times 1, which is equal to 1. Okay, so now you simplify that. Anything divided by 1 is just the same number. Okay, and you don't really have any parentheses in any of these choices, so that means it tells you you need to distribute that. So you have 2x minus 4. Over 1, you don't have to do over 1. Anything divided by 1 is just the same thing. Okay. All right, let's move on to letter B. Letter B, what's the problem here? We need to subtract. So remember, subtraction and addition, you need to make sure they have the same denominator. If they don't have the same denominator, you need to make them the same denominator. Okay, let's copy the problem. 7x, 2x minus 10 minus x plus 1 over x minus 5. Okay. All right, so we will have to factor the numerator. The denominators are not the same, so we need to factor them all out. The numerators, we pretty much just copy them. 7x here, this is x plus 1. That's a binomial, so therefore you need to copy that, enclose it in parentheses every single time, just the numerator. All right, let's factor out the denominators. 2x minus 10 is binomial, so you need to find what is in the 2x that's also in the negative 10. That would be 2, so I'm going to factor out the 2. 2x divided by this 2 is x. Negative 10 divided by that 2 is negative 5. All right, so these are the factors of that. Next one is x minus 5. For the second denominator, there's really nothing you can factor, so therefore you just copy x minus 5. But because it's a binomial, you put it inside the parentheses. All right, so now that you have factored out, that's the first, that's the, I don't know, third step or whatsoever, factor out the denominator, you have to do the dots now. Okay, so 2, this is 1 dot, there's no 2 there, so that's it. The parentheses count as 1, so this parenthesis here is 2 dots. Well, there's another x minus 5, so this 2 gets written one time. Okay, so next we will copy all the, you have 1 dot and 2 dots, so this is 2 and x minus 5. We copy this 2 and x minus 5 here. Okay, we copy the numerator 7x, we copy the numerator x plus 1. Okay, all right, now what we will have to do the circle now. So this whole thing, oh, this whole thing is the same. Is it the same? Yes. Now this other one right here, it has to be x plus 1, x minus 5, so it's just this. So that tells us you need to multiply the top by 2. All right, so now let's do that. Okay, so we can combine them now in the same denominator because they're the same basically. So now we will have 2x minus 5. I combine them. I copy the top, 7x minus 2x plus 1. So I pretty much copy, it's almost like I put a bar in here and combine the two denominators, okay? All right, so now we can simplify. So this is, I want to keep the fractions, I mean the factors in the denominator, just in case. Okay, so the top one is 7x. Now you need to distribute the negative 2. Okay, so that's negative 2x and then minus 2. All right, and then we combine like terms. So 7x minus 2x is 5x minus 2 over 2x minus 5. So now you have to check the numerator. Can you factor out 5x minus 2? Well, not really. So therefore, if not, then you can just distribute the denominator. So 5x minus 2 over 2x minus 5. Now, are they the same? They have the same numbers, but they're not really the same. Okay. So 5x minus 2 over 2x minus 5. Let's see if we have that. 5x minus 2 and 2x. Oh, oopsies. When I multiply this, 2 times x is 2x, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Okay, I forgot how to multiply. All right, so, and you should be able to find your answer there. All right, letter C. Solve the equation. All right, so we have that equation. Indicate if the equation has no solution. Okay, so 0 equals 5 over 4x. Okay, so if you just solve this, you will have to multiply this one by 4x, right? Multiply by 4x, multiply by 4x. And because that 4x is your denominator, so when you multiply this, that becomes 0. And you multiply this, that becomes that becomes 20x, okay? Now you divide this one by 20, and you divide this one by 20, and then you would say x equals 0, right? You would say that. Okay. Now remember in your last lesson, that is algebraically the answer, but remember last time you were asked, do you need to check your answer when you have a denominator x? And is a true or false on the problem practice number 58 57. The question was, do you need to check your answer if you have a denominator x? You have an x in your denominator, and we said true. And this is one of the case. Okay, so once you answered x equals 0, let's check because that's a question. Do you check it? Well, let's check. Okay, so we substitute that 0 in this equation. 0 equals 5. 0 4x. This was your problem, right? You substitute that 0 into that x right there. So 0 equals 5. 4 times 0. 0 equals 5. What's 4 times 0? Well, that's 0. Use this in your calculator. Put that in your calculator. 5 divided by 0. Is that going to give you a 0? Because if it does, then this is the correct answer. But if it tells you it cannot be because there's an error, then therefore this cannot be an answer. Okay? Now, if this cannot be an answer, then therefore you have no solution. Okay? All right. So let's try that. You only do that when you have an x in your denominator. If you have x somewhere else, not denominator, you don't have to worry. Okay, so let's try this one, letter D. Another x in your denominator. So you have 1x plus 3 equals 5. Okay, so this is your denominator. We will put this in parentheses. So therefore, we can multiply the whole thing by x plus 5, x plus 3. Okay, so this one will cancel out. So you have 1 x plus 3 here as well. So you have 1 equals 5 x plus 3. And so now you have 1 equals 5x plus 15 minus 15 on both sides. Okay. All right, so negative 14 equals 5x, and then you divide by 5, you divide by 5. So therefore, your x equals negative 2.8. That is your x, okay? So now we need to check because your x is in the denominator. You have to check now. So let's do 1 over, um, 2 negative 2.8. Okay, so just in case you're wondering where I'm getting this, I'm gonna copy the exact problem. 1 over x plus 3 equals 5. Now in this x, I will substitute negative 2.5, 2.8. Negative 2.8 plus 3 equals 5. So this one, you just keep that equals 5 all the time. Okay, let's solve this. 1 over negative 2.8 plus 3, that's going to be zero point 0.2 equals 5. Now you do this in your calculator, 1 divided by zero point 0.2. If that's equal to 5, so is this equal to 5? If it is equal to 5, then therefore this answer is correct. If this one here says error, then that means you have no solution. All right, I'm gonna not do the word problem. I will move on to number one. Okay, so it's a select the factored form. So it says factored form. There's no equal sign. So therefore, really you just need to find the common number, right? Okay, the common factor. So negative 8 plus 12x. You have two terms here. What is in here that's also in here? Well, you have a negative 8, so you can factor out negative 4 or positive 4. It really is, this is a multiple choice, so one or the other. Okay, I'm gonna do with the negative 4 first. I'm gonna factor negative 4. So negative 8 divided by negative 4, I will get 2. 12x divided by negative 4, I will get negative 3x. Now, do I have that negative 4 outside? 2 minus 3x. No, I don't. Okay, so this is an answer. Now, what about a second answer? Instead of factor out negative 4, let's factor out 4. Okay, so from your original problem, okay, factor out 4. So negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. Positive 12 divided by 4 is positive 3x. Now, do we have this answer? Positive 4, negative 2, and 3x. So we do. So this one and this one, they're both correct, but just different way of presenting them. Okay, so this is the end of the first video. I'll see you next time, next on the next one.